incident involved two young brothers who were enjoying themselves in the sauna on January 15th of 1880. From their family farm, the brothers witnessed a lone wolf emerge from the woods nearby and cross their potato field. The wolf suddenly hops the fence and attacks the youngest of the two, 8-year-old Kali. It bites down on him and shakes him like a chew toy before dragging him off into the woods. His brother screams in shock while running to get his parents. The boy's mother summoned a rescue party who followed the blood trail left in the snow. About 500 meters down the blood trail, the rescue party finds Kali's right leg torn from his body just below the hip. As the rescue party traveled a little further down the blood trail, expecting to find the boy's body, instead they discovered the boy's torn and bloody clothes. Sadly, no body was ever found. It was clear that the boy was eaten by the wolf. After this deadly attack on 8-year-old Kali, the government put out bounties for wolves and organized wolf hunts in the surrounding areas. Despite weeks of hunting, none of them are successful, and the wolves escape all efforts to capture or kill them. About 3 months later, on April 23rd, 2.5-year-old Johanna Wilk was playing in the yard of her countryside home. Her mother, who was inside the house, hears her daughter yell out in pain, causing her to run outside to see what's wrong. Just outside the front door where her daughter had been playing, she finds Johanna's severed foot. Her daughter and everything else were missing from the yard. Only a blood trail near the edge of her yard, along with wolf tracks leading into the woods. Her family held a memorial for her 2 days later. On the day of Johanna's memorial service on April 25th, 3 siblings were walking home from school. The eldest of the 3 sisters picked up her youngest sister and began to run, leaving her 7-year-old sister alone and lagging behind. They were very close to their home, but just before they could see it in the distance, 7-year-old Maria Matilda was snatched by the wolf. It gripped Maria in its jaws before running back into the tree line as quick as it came. The adults were soon alerted, and they began searching the area for Maria, but only her shoe and skirt were found. There has now been 3 children attacked, killed, and eaten in the span of 3 months, all from what appears like the same bloodthirsty lone wolf. Fear has now spread through the entire region. The very next day, and a few miles down the road, 2.5-year-old Maria Helen goes outside to fill a water bucket from a spring near her home. After some time passes without her daughter returning, her parents go searching for her, and to their horror, find the water bucket laying empty in a pool of blood. The neighbors search for the little girl, but just like the other victims, no trace of her is ever found. Residents of the area immediately suspect the rampaging lone wolf. Thankfully, for the next 3 weeks, there were no reported wolf fatalities. But on May 25th, things take a turn for the worse. The Latvala kids were playing in the front yard of their family cabin. The 3-year-old daughter, named Amanda, doesn't notice what the other kids describe as a big dog approaching. The wolf bites the little girl by the neck and shakes her until she is dead. The other children run to get their mother and tell her that a big dog took her. A search party gathers, and after combing through the nearby forest, the only thing they find are the little girl's intestines near her shoes, with her feet still inside. The regional government begins calling for the complete culling of all wolves in the area, urging citizens to kill any wolf on sight. Residents were even offered bounties for every wolf they killed. This led to 6 innocent wolf pups being killed by hunters, but unfortunately, the murderous wolf was still on the loose. Nearly 11 weeks later, on August 3rd, the rogue wolf set its eyes on its next victim. The 2 girls were walking up a remote dirt road on their family's farm, situated beside the woods, when a wolf appeared from nowhere. 10-year-old Anna Linderberg was savagely attacked and killed by the wolf as her friend stood frozen in fear. Finally, snapping out of her gaze after realizing Anna was dead, she runs down the dirt path as the wolf begins eating Anna behind her and escapes. Events were quiet for nearly 2 months, until October 6th, when the wolf got a craving for his new favorite food, humans. The wolf attacks 4-year-old Ida Tolmanen and carries her body deep into the woods, where her father would later discover her remains. The next day, on October 7th, 5.5-year-old Serafia Grundfors was snatched from the woods near her home. A search party combed the woods for 2 days, but tragically, her body or any signs of it were never found. At this point, the wolf has grown accustomed to the taste of human flesh and the children's inability to put up much of a fight. This only encouraged the wolf to keep hunting them. A week later, on October 15th, 5.5-year-old Polly Grunrus was playing in the forest a short distance from his house that he shares with his widowed mother. After returning back to his house for dinner, a large wolf appears and begins chasing him. The boy runs toward a narrow strip of land that crosses a lake before the wolf pounces on him. It quickly overtook him and killed him with a bite to the neck. It dragged him into the woods and ate his entire body except for his foot and head, which were found later by his mother and the search party. About a week later, on October 22nd, 9-year-old Ida Laxo was leading a group of her classmates down the road as they walked home from school. A wolf suddenly appeared and jumped over the surrounding fence by the tree line as it rapidly approached the group of school children. It immediately focused on Ida, biting her and dragging her into a snowbank. It attempted to grab her by the neck and shake her to death the way it had previously done to other children. But Ida was wearing a very thick scarf that the wolf struggled to wrap his jaws around. Ida later reported that the wolf would press its ear to her chest during the attack as if it were checking to see if she was still breathing. Apparently, if she moved or took a breath, the wolf would start attacking her again. After a few times this happened, she decided to play dead while holding her breath, but this only caused the wolf to try dragging her off into the forest, thinking she was dead. Ida's thick winter clothing and scarf made it incredibly hard for the wolf to grab hold of, and it continually dropped Ida while attempting to drag her to the forest. Thankfully, a man named Yanni Makila scared the wolf off by yelling at it. Feeling outnumbered by the growing amount of villagers rushing to the scene, it ran back into the woods and abandoned its prey. When Ida tried standing up, she collapsed back to the ground due to the wolf breaking her leg with its powerful jaws during the attack. Yanni carried her back to her mother, where she went on to live another 80 years, carrying with her the scars on her face and leg as a constant reminder of what could have easily been a fatal wolf attack. The local government in Turku decides to set bait traps laced with poison throughout the woods to kill the wolves. The attacks were becoming such a problem, they even handed out rifles to anyone willing to hunt the murderous wolves. Just 6 days after the incident with Ida, on October 28th, 9-year-old Yuko Leko is attacked but luckily isn't killed during the attack. He survives, describing the horrific attack to the villagers, increasing the fear throughout the region. Thankfully, there were no other fatalities or attacks caused by the wolf for the rest of that year. There have been 9 fatal wolf attacks on children within 6 months so far, but the next 2 months without any attacks was just the calm before the storm. Professional hunters pursue the wolves all winter long, but are outsmarted and unsuccessful. After months of hunting the wolves, they failed to kill any of them, but miraculously, it seemed like they'd been scared away. No attacks or sightings of the wolf was reported for months. However, just as the villagers' fears were starting to fade, in the spring of May 14, 1881, 6-year-old Johanni Oahatalo was helping with chores by chopping some wood near his family home when his mother glanced out the window to see a wolf attacking him. She immediately ran outside to her son, but by the time she arrived, the wolf had carried his lifeless body into the woods and out of sight. Neighbors immediately formed a rescue party and tracked the wolf several miles. Johanni's pants were later found during the search, completely torn up and bloody. Around 3 weeks later, on June 10th, 9-year-old Mauritius Lipawaha was told to get his horse from the meadow near the forest. A lone wolf attacks the boy and quickly kills him. 2 men who were in the area heard Mauritius' screams, who rushed over to scare the wolf off. Unfortunately, it was too late. After recovering the boy's body, they take it back to his family, who were devastated. Almost 3 weeks after the last attack on June 29th, 5